Tasha told me to run. I just texted her to see if she could join via Zoom. But she's not feeling well then.
Yeah.
So just so you're aware, if we have to have at least
Quorum.
here, not including me, I'm not part of it. The two of the counselors are away on vacation or can't make it. And then Deputy Mayor Kulikowski had phoned in sick, but I sent her the Zoom to see if she can. If our proceedings bylaw, just for everybody's notice, is that we wait 15 minutes. And if we don't have quorum by quarter after, and that's talking, we would probably do, because there is some important business, the food bank to try and get them and things like this. We can always then call a meeting for next week. Kind of thing. So, or there may be other people available. Start this one. That way next week I can have somebody sitting here too.
And have iced tea instead of hot tea.
Wrong week. Yeah.
So for discussion purposes, why don't you tell us about your food bank anyways, while we're sitting here for 15 minutes? Get a little quiet, eh?
I mean, we can. I don't mind talking about the food
And
bank.
you're here to talk about it. Let's hear what you got to say, at least the three of us. Or four of us, five of us.
I mean, then what we would do is it'd just be an informal.
Yeah, well, just,
kind
you
of
know,
thing.
like, I mean, we discussed a bit on Monday about how you're in the shed in the back
Yeah.
there.
And so, I guess this has kind of been a long time coming of a discussion. We really truly feel we've outgrown that space. We have it packed right now with fridges, with freezers, shelving. And even with everything that we have, we can usually only store enough for that month. So it's very difficult for us to kind of plan ahead per se, or to even kind of increase what we're doing.
So every month you like totally deplete it and restock it, like every
Pretty
month?
much.
Yeah.
Like there's things that are always kind of there, and those are some of the extras, and we will throw them in.
How do you work with the Muslim food bank in the town?
We give them things.
Oh,
If we
really?
get extra donations that we can't fit, we will give it to the Muslim group.
Mhm.
The last time we also partner with lots of different groups. We have, for instance, last year, I don't even want to think about how much ice cream we donated to the school. We just had so much, those kids were happy. We have reached out to our college, and so they made packages for every student. We have sent food out to Tuck. We have given almost half of our truck to the Muslim food bank, and we're just first, I think I was putting every weekend saying like, please come and just
So
grab.
who's all your major donors?
It's different groups. We are affiliated with Food Banks Canada. So they do the majority of kind of our funding. What they will get is they'll get funds from different groups across Canada that are then like allocated for food banks. But sometimes those come with specific restrictions. So a couple of years back, we received a donation from Turkey Farmers of Canada, but it could only go towards turkey products.
Wow.
And trying to get those in town, that took us quite some time. We've also gotten Subway donated quite a bit of money for sandwich purposes. So we had to buy sandwich meat that we normally wouldn't buy, like in cheese and things like that, to ensure, because we have to then report back on how we've used those programs. Every summer, we try to partner with a group called After the Bell, which is also a Food Banks Canada initiative, where it's meant to ensure children over the summer still have access to meals. Because as we know, they get, the breakfast program or the lunch program or snack program at school. And so when there is no school, what are they going to be getting? And in previous years, we have been working with Ingamo or with the youth center, where we will give them these items that we receive, and then usually ask them to purchase the perishables, and we would reimburse, because we also get a certain amount of money for, ensuring they have fruits and vegetables. But this year, we weren't able to do that, mainly because I think the groups weren't interested. And again, we don't have the space. So we'll end up with so much stuff that we were like, well, I mean, we could try, but all I can ever do, we're a very small board. We are four or five, we're 5 people on the board, and we are pretty much the ones that run the food bank. Yes, we have some volunteers, but obviously, as we all know, COVID did a number on everybody. And we went from having once a week or once every other week with actual volunteers to once a month, and it's just the board that takes care of it. We're the ones that unload the food. We're the ones that put in the applications. We're the ones that do the deliveries, or sometimes we can get delivery drivers, but not always. We're the ones that pack everything. Like we're the only ones running it. And so sometimes having these bigger projects is a little bit too much, because we just don't have the space. If I could store all the granola bars in one spot, I wouldn't feel the huge pressure of we need to get rid of it in 2 weeks in time for my Stanton's order or our Northmark order. So we do generally go through.
So much square footage are you at right now?
Oh, don't ask me that. I have absolutely no idea. It's tiny.
I don't even know which building it is. I should.
It's the one right behind the warming
I understand
center.
where it is. I just.
Yeah, and so we've done a lot to also work on the safety and security of that space. We've been broken into multiple times there. We have a lot of issues with people defecating right on the stairs. It's kind of a tucked away back area. So people, we clean up bottles, we clean up all of that thing. I mean, we do it, and that's fine, but it's gotten to the point where some of the board members don't feel safe being there by themselves. And so we always have to make sure there's 2 people there, because if somebody, and I've had it where someone has come in and they're intoxicated and they want food, and I'm trying to explain to them, I'm just unpacking things, this isn't the time for it. And they're getting angry, right? They see, but there's food right there. And I'm like, yes, however, this is the process. And most people know me, I'm a social worker. I know everybody, right? So they're usually really good with me, but I think about my colleague who's new to town, who wouldn't know the same and have the same ability to kind of reason with some of them. And so that's always been a concern for us, that how it's tucked away. However, we have done a lot of improvements to that building. We built that deck, we put in the stairs, the ramp, we've cleaned out quite a bit inside. We've reinforced the building. We've done a lot of that out of our own budget to ensure that the building is secure and can handle the extra, like I said, freezers and fridges that we have bought. We did also have to purchase that seat can to hold more things. And yet there are still times when everything is so full to bursting that again, we've had to put things off. We will get requests saying oh, we want to give you guys this shipment of whatever. We're we actually can't take it right now. Or we have to give it to the Muslim food bank, and which is absolutely fine. But one thing that we do also have, I don't want to say issue with, but we tend to give to quite a few different organizations. And the only one that ever said thank you was Aurora College and the schools. So other organizations like the Muslim, the food they've been giving out for the last couple months came from us, but nobody knows that. And so it's kind of and I'm not saying we're here for recognition, because we're not. It's just, it's one of those things where, well, we can't be giving this out. And then we hear, well, how, the Muslims gave it. I'm like, yes, they did. Because they have people, they have more space. They had we were able to fill like an entire building, and they still, Northwood was calling us and be like, can you come and get these pallets? And we're like, I would love to get the 14 pallets of potatoes today. Where am I gonna put them? I have had to partner with the IRC.
How long do potatoes stay?
Oh my God, and we still ended up having to throw out
Yeah, I
so
was gonna
many.
say, because there's only a certain amount of time, right? Then they start.
And I gave them to everybody. IRC came and took quite a bit for their food program to turn them into like French fries and things like that. I don't know how many I sent to Tuck. Like we were constantly giving these things out. And again, and not only that, but if we're thinking about in terms of just, we only have so much room for shelving. We only have so much ways that we can stack things. And then it's kind of like, it sits
If
there.
it wasn't potatoes, we would have said, no, we'll hold it for you for a bit.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't doubt that at all.
After a while,
No, you guys kept the baby food for quite a while, so like, we appreciated that. Of calling dads and be like, just keep it for one more day. I'm trying.
Who brings your freight in for you?
Different organizations, sometimes it's Northwind, sometimes it's Manitoulin. We generally, when we get it from the Food Banks Canada, they arrange everything. So they're the ones that kind of get it to us. It's our responsibility to distribute it. And then again, report back on what we did and how we did it.
So is the food bank open every single day in town?
No, so we had to switch to a different method once COVID hit.
Okay.
We wanted to ensure that we didn't shut down. So we used to be a weekly, you could come in, anybody could just come in at any time. We would charge $10 for a bag for about $75 to $80 worth of food.
Okay.
And people kind of had registered, so we could see when they came in last, and they could come every 2 weeks. When COVID hit, we definitely wanted to ensure that people were still receiving food. And so what we had moved to is a delivery model where people had to call and pre-register for a bag. So what we have is on the week of what we call our intake week, on the Monday or Tuesday, people can call in between 1 and 5 o'clock to request a bag, and we will put them on the list. We can only do 75 bags. Again, space. We are literally hopping over bags as we're filling them up because we have no more room for bags. Because they're quite big. I don't know if anyone's seen them, but they're pretty heavy. If you think about the Northmark canvas bag, it's basically filled to the top with different foods because we want it to last a while, recognizing it's once a month. Then the board members usually go in on Wednesday and Thursday to unpack the groceries, fill up the bags. And then on Thursday, 2 more board members, which is usually us, will go and put in all the perishables in the bags, and then the delivery drivers come and they go with it. And so we were doing that once a month, and we've been doing it for a couple of years. We are looking this summer, we were thinking of moving to a different type of model of pick up, because we've now built a door with kind of like the I think it's called like barn doors kind of thing, right? Where you can open the top one and there's kind of a shelf. So they still have to pre-register. How did that work when they came? You did that one, not too bad. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, they come to the door and then they say their name, we check them off on the list and we hand them their bag. But there's still like the distance. And for the elders, we have a list that we call our permanent elder list. So I don't know that they're included in our 75 bags. And we still have delivery drivers that will drop those off.
So do you give out 1 bag per family per household?
1 to 2 bags, depending how big the household
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, if you have storage, probably keep more out.
is. So the bags are also quite expensive, right? We probably at this point, especially with things going up in price and everything, and how much we want to put in there, and we put in like good stuff, right? Like we put in eggs and cheese and bread and meat.
They don't bring the bags back.
Some people do,
Yeah.
but we buy the bags for Northmark. There's apples, oranges, potatoes, onions, and then like, pastas and sauces and things that we try really hard to think about. This is gonna make more than 1 meal, or you can use it for quite a bit. So the cost, I think, has gone up to almost $100 a bag. So that's the other thing too. So we were also hoping that maybe we could go back to every other week model with maybe the cost being a little bit less in each bag. Like we're still kind of working on what we think what should be I guess, the evolution, the next evolution of what the food bank would be. And so we've, like I said, we've always kind of envisioned having a bigger space that could potentially allow us to maybe partner with a few more organizations. We've always wanted like the greenhouse to have more of a presence with the food bank, but right now, again, like nobody can really be in the space. If you have 2 people in there, you reach your 6 feet. It's really not, you can't really fill it with anything. We've been asked, for instance, can you guys run like a cooking kind of program? I'm like, sure, where? We don't have space. I would love to even show people how to use like fresh vegetables in a salad, because we get things from the greenhouse and it's things like mustard greens that people are like, what is this? And I'm like, fair, I don't even know, right? But that's the stuff they give us is kale or things that people don't know how to use. And so they come and they're excited to see something fresh, but they don't actually know what it is or how they can prepare it. So there's like a food education part to it that, I mean, we've always thought about, but haven't been able to get to that point, you know, and we've talked with other organizations sometimes about almost not reopening Next to New, but like maybe having like a free area where, because we also get those kind of donations, right? Of diapers or things like that, that we'd love to be giving out, but we're not always sure how best to go about doing it in an equitable way. So we feel very limited in terms of space, that we would like to be able to reach out, to partner with more organizations. You know, I have my contacts at IRC. I talk quite a bit with Devin over at BDEC. You know, right now what we end up doing is giving people giving money, essentially. So when the schools were dealing with COVID, like in TAP and the flooding in Aklavik, we gave them money. Yes.
Do you want to make the official announcement?
Sorry.
Right now.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt,
7:19.
Or it's now been 15 minutes and we do not have a quorum, so the meeting for tonight is canceled. Try to have a special meeting next week. Thank you all for coming.
I do have one question. We're still live on YouTube, just so that we've recorded, so when other counselors that can't make it can hear what was said instead of having to repeat it again.
I mean, I do love talking, so I don't mind.
If it's okay with the council, I just have 2 questions to ask. One
Absolutely.
is in the other building you're looking at, what facilities in there do you need? Do you need the bathroom, that kind of thing, because they're in poor shape, need, you know, some work needs to be done on them if you're gonna use them.
For sure. I mean, I don't know that we need a bathroom per se. Running water would be fantastic. We don't have water at the food bank, and so that's been an issue. So whenever we clean, we are bringing in big buckets of water from the library. And we're having to clean up that way, which is also difficult because it's food and we want to make sure it's sanitary and it's clean, but it is difficult.
I think there's a sink. It's just that the bathroom, the previous tenant, so to speak, did some stuff and it needs a lot of work, and there's some areas that it's quite expensive.
Mhm.
to get
No,
it
I mean,
up
I
and
don't
running.
think we need a bathroom. We've never needed one this entire time.
No, that's what I figured.
Running water and power would be,
What's wrong with the bathroom there? What they do?
Well, they put a second one in. I don't know the whole thing, but the floor is ruined and stuff like that, just the way they did it, so. And the sea can, you have a sea can, I apologize, yeah, you have one around the back?
Yeah.
too? Okay.
oh, and heat. We would definitely need that, obviously. We have had issues, I think, last year like this, when everything froze inside and we had to get rid of a lot of product.
I think the heat is connected to the other building.
Okay.
Now, we've turned the heat off, so. Okay. But you pay for your own electricity right now, I believe.
I don't believe we pay for anything.
Oh, okay.
We've always agreed that we would pay for any maintenance or any repairs. So for instance, when the doors have been broken, we've paid that. If we've added shelving or needed to fix stairs or anything, we've paid that. And I believe that we would still continue to be quite fine with paying for any maintenance.
No, thank you. It just makes us easier from our point of view
Mhm.
as to for repairing the building
Sure.
and that. Would you use the old building as well?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think we were thinking about that, so I could ask the board. I think it would just depend on how much, and I have no concept of space, so I can't tell you how
That's
much
fine.
bigger one is than the other one. But I think the thought is if we could just have the bigger space, I don't know that we would need the smaller one.
We have thought of, speaking of space, we run out of space as well for our files and everything
Yeah.
else, and we were thinking to use that building, because we don't need to have heat on or anything like that. However, if you don't need the old building as a potential, or depending on how much space you need in the new building and use the old building, there's one room that has a separate entrance that we might be able to use for our filing.
Mhm.
And then let's share the space. One of the suggestions in the letter was the other nonprofits in there. It really isn't a space that would work well for something like that, just because of the way it's laid out and things like that. Okay, so thank you. That from administration point of view, I can't speak for council, but
Mhm.
that clarifies a few things from our point of view as to where we're at.
So I'm fairly new with council. I guess my question is, before COVID-19, did you find that the frequency of people coming to the food bank helped with the volume issues and the space issues and the storage issues?
Absolutely. So before COVID, we would be open once a week. We would usually have 2 or 3 volunteers, and we could give out anywhere from 50 to 100 and something bags in a week. They were smaller.
Yeah.
However, yeah, we took weekly orders then, and we would have weekly grocery orders almost.
So with COVID-19 restrictions dropped now,
Yes,
we'd like to go back to a higher
we're,
availability.
and that's what we're trying to think about.
I'm just asking if you guys thought about that.
And we
Yeah.
have thought about it, and it's, again, trying to also do the logistics of rebuilding our volunteer base. We know everyone in town is hurting for volunteers. You know, we all have full-time jobs, so it's a lot on us. And that's kind of why we have been very slow on changing the method, because we're only 5, and it's just us running the entire food bank. And we're an incredibly active food bank. We have a lot of requests, a lot of funding, a lot of paperwork, a lot of different things we need to do regularly. And so it causes a lot of, none of us can imagine, like, for instance, when we take the intake calls on the Monday, someone takes the afternoon off work to take those phone calls, because they can be ringing off the hook. And so when I say it's busy, it can get overwhelmingly so for just the 5 people. So I don't know that we're in a hurry to go back unless we can have some more people either on the board or willing to just volunteer again.
Were the number of board members and volunteers higher before COVID-19? Was the same?
No,
number?
but we had more volunteers.
More
We
volunteers.
had a
Okay,
lot more
fair enough.
volunteers.
So I have to do this next week again?
Sorry?
What time next week? Are we gonna go Monday, Tuesday?
Not sure yet.
Wednesday? Can't do Monday.
Tuesday. I'm open.
I'm just not gonna be here till Monday. I don't get back till Monday. And I won't be back till.
Well, we
Monday.
typically have them on a Wednesday. Why couldn't you have it on? We can put out the notice for a special meeting for Wednesday.
It's gotta be, Wednesday.
Good for you, Grant?
Yeah, I'm pretty free next week. So whatever works best for the council.
Okay, Wednesday next week.
All right, I'll just stop this here now.